Okay, in addition to the movies, Brad has organized the insertion of the slides on this tape. These are the slides that we've taken over the years, and again, they're not perfect, and some of the reproduction needs a little to be desired in some of these slides, but thought maybe you'd be interested in seeing them. Those are some of the cottage, Nana Quinn and Nana Rome, and Jean enjoying the sunshine on the deck. This is a photograph that I enjoyed looking at. Debbie and Kelly and Stephen and David. They looked like the picture of health. That was taken at the cottage. And again, here's everybody sunning themselves on a nice bright spring day at the cottage. And we just obviously put the new room on. Didn't have it painted or didn't have a lot of the work finishing done. There's a slide of Barney and Bert, who had come down to visit us at the cottage. Here's one of the first pictures taken of, that I have of young Sean, John Williams' young lad. This is taken in our cottage. And there again is John and Sean. This was taken at Gore's Landing, at Ed's place in Gore's Landing. Sweaty Eddie's got a comb in his hair. Looks like he's been combing his hair. And again, this is taken, there's Muriel with Ann and Sean, taken at Gore's Landing. These are just some of Sean, the young man. And that's Ann in the background holding on to him. Here's one of our boat. Not really clear who that is. I think it's Brad and Debbie out in front of the cottage. God, look at the bikini girl. There's Jean in her bikini. She wouldn't get in the sunlight, so I could take a picture of her in her bikini, so she's in the shade. Woo! This is taken when we had some visitors. There's Nana Rome in the back, and Art Broccoli. And the little girl beside Debbie is Sonia from Switzerland. And Brad, and of course Debbie. There's the bunch of us, Brad and I at least, in the water. I guess Debbie's in there somewhere. We're in swimming. There's the bikini girl again out in the end of the dock under the tree. And looks like Brad and Debbie are coming in to see what's going on. Not a very good reproduction of the boat, but however, Brad and young John McCarthy, they built a raft and they're paddling upriver. This I took late one afternoon. That's Don Payne and Sheila, Kathy and Rick Couvert. They'd come up to visit, and they just pulled in, and I snapped the picture. There's our cottage from the river. I don't know, it's kind of muddy there. Here's Brad on skis. Love to water ski. There's a guy with a spare tire in a spare tire. There's a spare tube. The other guy's Brad, having a swim. There, I think, is David. That's David and Debbie, I think, out for riding the boat, burning up their old man's gas. This was our daughter-in-law, Debbie, and David's wife, who received those beautiful yellow roses from her mother for her birthday. And she was so proud of those, so we had to have a picture. Here's the cook we hired to cook breakfast. The only thing is that she wouldn't get dressed. And there's Evan Art, who came down to visit shortly after we finished the addition, because the rug is not down, and late in the afternoon. This is young John Williams, Muirl and Ed's son. I think this is before we had the addition put on. There's a good friend of the family, old Dougie Haig, down for a game of cards. There's three reprobates there. Three of the best: Brad, Dave, Steve. This is before the addition was put on, because there's Tilly and Ann and Jean sitting in the old part of the cottage. Now this is in Ottawa, and that's Kelly's father, Jim Souls, with the aircraft, and that's Debbie de Lottenville, David's Debbie, getting in the plane for a ride. I believe it is. There's Jim and his other daughter, Caroline, going for a flight. And he flew it off the Ottawa River. I'm not sure who that is. It could have been Brad, it could have been Debbie, myself. It was a number of it. He took a number of us up that day. There he is taxiing away. Not a very good reproduction. The slide was very dark. That's Debbie, David's Deb, and it's taken in Ottawa, I believe. Here's Brad when he was about 10, and Brad and I were out snowshoeing, and he almost fell there. And here we are. This is Steve and Dave, and that's Caroline Souls. That's Kelly's sister, and Debbie D, and we're down on the Ottawa River, and this is the day that we were down getting rides in Mr. Souls' aircraft. This was taken on the Ottawa, or on the Rideau Canal. We were down skating with Roger and his family, Roger Bureau. That's young Ronnie Bureau, or Roger Jr., I guess it is, with Brad on the left. The one single skater there is Jean, out in the middle, waiting for somebody to help hold her up, I guess. There's Ronnie and Roger. Apparently that was the first time Ronnie ever had skates on. And what a beautiful day it was. There's one of the underpasses on the Rideau.
There's a lot of people on that canal. There's Roger and Ronnie and Gene. Lots of snow in Ottawa. Of course, that's a number of years ago. That's at least 12 years ago. There's the Bureau clan and Gene and Brad and I, and heading down to the canal to skate. There's Brad out in the Ottawa River. He's skiing, and that's, you can see the tracks in the snow. That's where Jim Souls would take off, and you can see a fishing hut out there. There's Debbie and David, and again, that's down on the Ottawa River at Souls. This is Brad, and we're snowshoeing. We're out at Bell's Corners. There was a ski trail out there, and Brad and I are out there snowshoeing. Here was a photograph taken by a friend of ours when Bradley was 1 week old. We just brought him home from the hospital. It's taken in Deep River. There he is in his crib. And this photograph was taken at Easter. And, that's Barney and Bert, and Stephen and David. And unfortunately, Debbie got cut off in there. And Jean. There's Jean in the new coat I got her for Christmas. That's taken outside of our place on Woodridge Crescent in Ottawa. There's Brad on Christmas morning, and he's up to something. That's Steve. Here's an enjoyable time at Christmas, was playing Christmas carols and singing Christmas carols. It's Brad and Jean practicing. Christmas morning, Jean with her new boots, and Stephen obviously with something interesting. Christmas dinner with Kelly and Stephen and Bradley in Ottawa. There's David and Debbie. Taken in Ottawa. David is trying to sing something here. God, they look terrible in that photograph. Their eyes just look like they're going to fall right out. Unfortunately, this didn't turn out well at all. It's Jean McPherson, our neighbor next door. Wonderful girl. And that's her daughter, Nancy. And again, not a very good reproduction of Gene and I. Our Sunday best, obviously getting ready to go out for a Christmas party somewhere. I don't know what this occasion was. That's David and Debbie and Gene and I, and don't recall what it was for. Here's Stephen and Kelly in their apartment shortly after they were married, I believe. Check the hair on Steve. And this one is Maureen de Lottenville, Debbie's mother, and Debbie's sister, Diane. Here's the Whitneys, Charlie and Shirley, and Shirley looks like she's been in the sun too long. And it was taken at the party that was given to them when they were leaving Ottawa for Toronto. That's Ronnie Bureau and Gene with Shirley. And it's taken out at the Golf and Country Club in Ottawa. There's good friends of ours, the Loveys, and again, Shirley and Charlie. Jim and Chris Lovey. Certainly not a very good likeness of Shirley in that picture. The reproduction is not that good. Again, there's some more friends of ours. The young lady on the right, Elena DeMille, Ronnie and Roger Bureau from Ottawa. And in the background, you can see Ab DeMille, and I think he's got Shirley Whitney under control or something. And friends of Charlie and Shirley, well, Oliver's, George and Iola, can't think of their last name. And this slide was taken with Bradley on the left in his classroom, and this is Brad with one of his teachers, Mrs. Pathowski, and that's Gene on the right. Here's the pajama party that Brad had for his birthday. That's him with the number 4 on his sweater on the left. And the McWhorter boys. And young Johnny Nagora. Oh, it's a 42, Brad. Debbie D. in Ottawa. Oh my God, look at the Rogues Gallery. Bruce McPherson, Stephen, Jimmy Johnson, and David. This was taken at the cottage. That's Kelly and by the lamp, and Stephen away over in the corner. That's another one taken in Ottawa of Gene and I getting ready to go out somewhere again. Here's one of my favorite pictures. You don't very often see Gene sitting down, relaxing. This is Ronnie Bureau, taken out at Canada at the Whitneys one Saturday night. There's Steve and Dave. And this was taken at the cottage. Very poor quality on this slide, but I thought I'd show it anyways. It's Lena DeMille on the left and her mother, who came down to visit us at the cottage. Here's Gene playing the piano, and of course, the color reproduction is not that good on that. Here's Sherry and Lee Baker. This is Charlie's daughter at her wedding in Bell's Corners. There's Charlie and Shirley Whitney. That's again taken at the wedding, their daughter's wedding. There's Debbie D, posing for some flowers, or with some flowers. And again, that's another one of Lee and Sherry Baker, taken at their wedding. This one was taken at our 25th wedding anniversary, and that's Kelly on the left and Sherry Whitney on the right. This is our cottage. David and Deborah. Well, these slides are really mixed up. We're back to the wedding again. And this is a photograph I took on just outside of Ottawa in a fall day. Madeline and Martin Vanderwright, Ottawa. And this was taken at one of the weddings we attended. There's our Deborah on the left and David's Deborah on the right, taken at the cottage. Again, there's Bradley. I don't know what he's up to with Debbie, but she won't have her picture taken. That's David sitting down fishing, and Debbie D. This was taken at Christmas in Ottawa, and that's Ronnie Bureau. This was taken at Ottawa again, and this is Ronnie's brother, Mike, from California, who played the pretty mean accordion, and we really had a good time. There's Charlie in the yellow shirt, Roger on the left. That's Maureen DeLaughtenville, Debbie's mother there. Shirley and Ronnie, and Mike's wife, and Jean on the right. I took this, and it looks much better as a slide than it does in video, but it's I took it at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's over the river, the moon shining on the river. And here's one of the boys come up the shore on the skis, or is that Sonia? Here's a photograph I took just looking down the river towards the loch. And here's a raft that we bought Brad, and we used to have a lot of fun with it, all the kids from along the river. Here's when Brad went to camp. Some of his Boy Scout or his Cub friends. It's Brad on the right. He didn't look that clean when he came back. Again, here we are at the piano having a sing-song. Charlie, where did you get that big wide tie? And there we are at Rome's Rest. Here's a couple of kids we know. Brad on the left and young John MacArthur. And Eric Bache from Ottawa. Now there's Rome's Rest. That's Kelly, taken at our 25th wedding anniversary. She came down with a chest cold after that was taken. And there's Steve. A hell of a poor picture. That's Steve and his mother-in-law, Louise Soule. And again, not a very good reproduction, but at the 25th wedding anniversary, that's Kelly and Charlie Whitney. And there's a write-off. That is Brad. And the fellow over in the back was a good friend of ours, Don Payne. And there he is with Debbie, our Debbie. Oh, we're back to singing again. Oh, God, look at this. Talk about the Riviera. Yeah, there's Shirley on the left and Elaine on the right. That's Stephen and Kelly. That's taken at the Charlie Whitney's daughter's wedding. Good friends of ours, the DeMills, Ab and Elena, and their daughter Nikki. That couple doesn't need any introduction. The two R's. Ronnie and Roger. George and Iola down for the wedding from North Bay. Oh, here's a picture I'd like to be able to paint someday. This is taken at sunset over the river at the cottage. The reproduction doesn't do it justice, really. My God. What's she up to? Shirley Whitney. This looks like it's close-up time at the cottage. Getting ready to go home for the winter. Jean's taking her pillow and leaving. There's our grandson Christopher when he was about 8 months old in Ottawa. And here's our one of our friends from Switzerland. Used to be one of our neighbors, Sonia, and Bradley, and myself. This is a double exposure. Kelly, there's Kelly and Bradley and Debbie in there. And here's when Brad come home from Scout camp, or Boy Scout camp. He looks a little bedraggled, but and his mother doesn't look a lot better. There they are when they're leaving. There's a big difference when they left when they come back. Again, that's when they're leaving right there. As you'll notice, a lot of these slides are out of sequence. That's Lee and Sherry Baker. Harry Paulsine, my brother-in-law, is over in the back, in the background. There's Charlie and Sherry dancing. This, I believe, is Ab DeMille's daughter's wedding. There's Ronnie, Charlie. Here we are, Brad and I are out taking some photographs out in a nice fall day, and oh my God, look at that. And that's Christopher in Ottawa. There's Brad just coming in from a ski. That's Jim and Louise Soul. That's Kelly's mom and dad. Kelly took that. I just got out of the shower, and that's the day that we were in Peterborough getting ready for our 25th wedding anniversary party. Kelly surprised me. I had a towel on. And that one, I think Stephen took of Kelly. She was doing her eyes or something in the bathroom. Another infamous Rome picture, double exposed, but it's at a family reunion. No, I don't know. This is my third oldest sister, Barb. Barb the card. And it's Jean and I over in the background. And I don't know what she's up to anyway. Here's David and Debbie in their apartment on Hurontario Street in Toronto. This is at the Quinn family reunion. There's can't readily recognize a lot of them. This is at a birthday party. That's Brad over in blue on the back. A motley looking crew. There's Darren down there. Here's a Loblaw hockey team at a tournament. There's Bob St. Jean was the coach. He's in the back. And these are friends of ours that came over from Switzerland to visit Canada. And there's myself and my three boys. This is friends of Debbie's, Linda Carkner, and what's the other girl's name? Carrie. Now these are our friends from Switzerland, Jean Bernard and Annie. Their son John Samuel, and the daughter was Sonia. This is Ab and Elena at their daughter's wedding in Bell's Corners. Reproduction of that is not that good. In fact, it's terrible. I got to cut the head off young Brad here, but boy, look at the belly on him. Should have called him Stubby. Oh, here's David and Deborah in a clinch. It's not Frank Sinatra, that's just Steve. Well, this is the Quinn family. There's Marge and Muriel and Caroline and Nana and Ann and Jean and John. That was at a family reunion. There's her old blue Chev up in the back there. Here's Brad teaching everybody how to water ski. This is before he learned how to water ski. This was in Ottawa. That's David on the right, Kelly, and obviously we're making some music. I've got the bongo drums. So there's Kelly. I don't think she'll appreciate seeing that picture again. She was expecting Christopher then. Yeah, this is back at the DeMille's wedding. Charlie and Shirley, Ronnie and Roger, Madeline Vanderreit, and Jean. Well, of course, Martin on the very end. This is Brad holding on to young Christopher in Ottawa. Again, a very poor reproduction. That's Brad and his mother. And there's Bert with her eyes closed. This was taken down in Hamilton. This was Stephen, really, when he was down visiting friends of his. And that is, of course, Matthew again. Or, I'm sorry, Christopher. There's Bradley. That's taken at the cottage. That's John on the right, and John Williams. And, of course, that's Dougie Haig. Just some flowers on at the front of the deck at the cottage. Oh, we're back to Ottawa. George and Iola. And that's Mike's wife. And there's Charlie. I don't know who that is. Oh, it's Brad, eh? This is an interesting picture. That's Ev Broccoli, my sister, on the right, and my mother in the blue. Art in the background. David and Debbie. And Debbie and Brad. That's Jean and Elena. That's taken out at Canada, I think. This was taken at the cottage. That's Jean, Elena, Ab, and Elena's mother, Wanda, taken at the cottage. Oh my God, there's the Dowager Queen, Shirley Whitten. That's taken at their home in Canada. We were out there one Saturday evening. Roger looks like he's going to break out in tears, and Charlie looks like he's going to laugh at him. Charlie, where do you buy those ties? Brad must have been in in the all together there, because looks like he's running off the deck for some reason. Do you ever see a happier 25-year married couple than this couple? This was taken down in London when Debbie graduated from her travel agent's course. That's taken in London. Again, that's Charlie and Shirley. That's Brad going for a flight. And Kelly and Stephen. Gene's leaving the cottage again. And this is Christmas in Ottawa. That's Kelly and David. Again, Brad out in the water in his raft. That slide doesn't do justice to Nana. That was a real pretty picture of her.